Icelandic Hales. Iceland, as most of you know already, is one of the most promising, I guess, prominent black metal scenes in the world right now. Why so? Well, this decade has been very fruitful for so many Icelandic bands. Now, the country may be small, at least when it comes to population. There's quite an active scene within black metal, and in recent few years Icelandic scene has proved to be very active when it comes to new bands, new albums and whatnot. Now, one of those names is a band called Sinmara, which has existed only since 2013. Not many releases out there. This is their second album. But previously they were active under the moniker called KO, but during that 5 years or so of existence, much didn't happen. But that kind of explains why Sinmara got so active suddenly, so quickly. So within the past 5 years or so, this band has been releasing quite a few releases, and now it's time for the second album, which came out in early February 2019. This is called Hvísl stjarnanna, or something that direction. Probably my pronunciation is way too Swedish to do justice for Icelandic, so pardon me for doing that. Let's take a look on this really nice looking digipack. As you can see, this is a threefold, having those 6 tracks here with the cover and all. Inside, obviously, we have the CD, then some information regarding the lineup and whatnot, and also a booklet. So this is not one of those digipack releases with just some random images and whatnot, but also some lyrical content. I'm showing it to you here so you can pause it if you need to read it. Also, pay attention to these great Icelandic views, these images here, so you get the grasp of how Iceland look. I've been there only for a few days and did a tour there. Also saw some Reykjavik, and it's a very interesting country, but also very expensive at this time. Great tourist attraction for so many reasons, not only because of the bands, but I mean the nature is kind of unique. Here is the last page of the booklet. That's about the booklets, that's about this nice looking digipack release. So what is Sinmara's black metal all about? Well, as you can guess, it's kind of a modern, it's melodic, it's atmospheric. But it is not as dissonant as so many other bands doing Icelandic black metal. Surely they all seem to breed the very typical, say, 2010 kind of a release stuff. I mean, I'm talking about this decade, or say last few years. All they seem to have very much in common is to kind of a different approach to the very same kind of music. It's not that different, you know, not any of those bands are not that different from each other, but obviously they have their own, say, style. But compared to what happened in the, say, early 90s in the Nordic countries, I mean, even in many different places, all those bands might have been very different from each other, despite being roughly the same age and starting the bands roughly around the same year and all that stuff. But Icelandic scene seems to be kind of a more centered around certain styles. You don't find many early wave or early style, early school, old school bands there. At least all the Icelandic bands I have gone through are more or less kind of a new wave, third wave of a black metal stuff. Now, Sinmara is little bit different, even though there is a lot of this kind of a multi-layered, a little bit dissonant stuff, creating atmospheric metal with lengthy tracks and all that stuff. But it's also one of those bands, especially with this album, that you can actually have this kind of a melancholic, melodic feeling, you know. That means melodic riffs creating that kind of a melancholy with atmospheric parts. So quite lengthy, but then again not creating an album like 60-70 minutes which usually gets a little bit tired unless you're really sort of a mastermind creator with the music. Now, Sinmara's feeling is somewhere between this kind of dark and despairful album. Then again, also having this kind of a saddening style, you know, melancholy and all that stuff. And I find it very fascinating. To be honest, the album could be way more catchy, but then again, it's not a big flaw as such, because the overall, you know, atmosphere with this album is actually very nice to be enjoyed. Now, also, when you're talking about modern way of black metal, it is very common that the, you know, production is rather clear and kind of precise versus older ones. Obviously, this is because of equipment and experience and professionalism with the recording stuff and you know, equipment to be used, not to mention programs. But I think it's also a matter of choice, because there are bands that are still aiming for the kind of old school, rawish sound, primitive even. But this is not the Icelandic stuff, and well, I'm not complaining. To be honest, Sinmara style is a nice, it's kind of a, I wouldn't say maybe unique, but it's not too often used. So with this album, I would say go ahead and give it a listen. I think it's one of the better ones in Iceland. Well, one of the better ones is kind of a vague way of saying, because it's not like there's like hundreds of different black metal bands. But let's say I would put this in the Icelandic top of black metal bands out there for now. So this Sinmara is very nice addition to 2019 albums. So whether you're not into Icelandic black metal, but if you have a soft spot for atmospheric black metal in the first place, give this one a chance. One of the better ones out there, so definitely worth checking out. As always, should you have any comments, questions, opinions on the matter, put them in the description, underneath the description box in the, you know, where opinions belong to. Thank you for watching, and see you soon with another review. Take care.